Ladies and gentlemen, now mad love to legendary Dataminer Otriux and also the MCOC Journal, who've been doing a little bit of digging and managed to find in the game files a brand new version of Deadpool, Platinumpool, apparently rumoured to come in the next month or so. But we are also having some very strange kind of Deadpool sale, I believe on Tuesday that they advertised, so maybe he's going to come via that, because I assume the release of this character, and this is just a wild assumption, is going to be somewhat similar to the release of Goldpool, because he does kind of give off that vibe that he's like a bit of a quirky trophy champion, maybe just for a little bit of fun for the whales. However, he does look much better and much more interesting than all the existing versions of Deadpool, because Goldpool is probably by far the best Deadpool at the moment, and he's pretty good, but he's pretty basic as well. There's not really too much that he does. But I think Platinumpool, he looks very interesting on paper because he's a lot of stuff, man. But I'm also like very unsure how this character is going to work in a practical sense, because he has like a card drawing system and a deck system, I assume, like based off persistent charges. And yeah, it's all like very weird, but sounds like really fun at the same time. So let's go over some of his base abilities. So he's got regeneration, so once per fight he gains a regeneration buff, recovering a certain amount of health over a certain amount of seconds. Again, this being very early data mine stuff, we don't have access to the full values today, so you know, we don't know exactly how good some of this stuff is going to be. But he's got the signature regeneration, which is very nice. He also has the ability to pause all of his personal bleed effects for a certain amount of seconds, and this can be really strong, especially if they're still dealing damage while they're paused as well. Also, personal bleed and regeneration effects last an additional certain amount of seconds for each active card in the fight. And when it comes to the cards, there are 4 different rarities. So there's brown pants, common, rare, and epic, but one of these is not like the others, and the brown pants cards are the bad cards. You don't want to draw those cards, but I don't think you can draw them naturally. You only draw them via the special 2. So drawing cards is not affected by ability accuracy modification, so you can't use that to shut this character down when fighting him, and the rarity of a card determines the chance it will be drawn. By default, brown pants cards cannot be drawn. Epic cards cannot be drawn when fighting on the final node of a quest. So that's kind of a bit interesting. I don't really know, it doesn't like split up the cards, it just has kind of a big long list, but I don't think categorizes them between their various rarities there. But yeah, you can't draw epic against a final boss there. And on top of that, he can draw duplicates of all common cards, and he is guaranteed to draw at least one rare or epic card each fight. But I assume if it's guaranteed every single fight, then it's at the start, which seems pretty nice there. But yeah, at the start of the fight, each drawn card is revealed, granting a random effect. So the cards, I think they kind of work like buffs or kind of passive effects there, and provide all sorts of different stuff depending on the cards that you draw. So yeah, apparently he also draws a certain amount of cards before each fight. I'm not too sure if there's something with like the pre-fight ability there, and you can select certain cards, or like I don't really know how it works. Also, if Platinumpool wins a fight, a certain amount of cards are added to his deck for every card that was drawn during the fight as well. So I think the more you progress in a quest, the bigger your deck gets. I don't know if in earlier fights you can kind of run out of cards, if that's a thing or not. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure. So in terms of the cards that he draws, there are 12 different cards or 12 different buffs that you can potentially get. And the first one, Brown Pants, I don't think can naturally be drawn. I think this is only off the special 2. We'll talk about that in a second. But Brown Pants is the bad card. It reduces the potency of Platinumpool's block proficiency, perfect block chance, crit rating, and power rating by a certain amount for a certain amount of seconds, and it does not count toward the max. So yeah, you do not want to draw the Brown Pants card. It is a bad card, lads. He also has what I assume are common cards here, stuff like attack booster, heal booster, stun booster, power rate booster as well, so stuff that increases, you know, various effects and just kind of stuff on your base there. Also a special attack booster. But then I think this is where we get to the rare and epic cards. So he has Card number 7 here is Blood Drive. So while the opponent is bleeding and Platinumpool has a lower percentage of health remaining, attacking the opponent inflicts a bleed debuff, dealing a certain amount of damage over a certain amount of seconds, and this bleed scales with special attack damage as well. So that seems like really cool. Again, it's a little bit situational, and you do need to line it up. That's going to work really well toward the start of the fight, but I imagine toward the end of a fight, it's not going to work maybe as well, but yeah, it seems alright there in certain scenarios. And the next one we have is Throwing Fists. So he gains up to a certain percentage of increased special attack damage, increasing for each hit in the combo meter up to a maximum of a certain amount of hits, and every amount of hits in either champion's combo gain an unblockable buff for 3 seconds. So yeah, that one seems really, really useful there, kind of an Aegon-esque thing, and he actually does have a synergy with Aegon, which increases the chance that he's going to draw this card as well. And the next one is card number 9, Payback. So when Platinumpool hasn't been attacked by the opponent for a certain amount of seconds, he gains a payback passive for a certain amount of seconds, and after this expires, he gains a regeneration buff, recovering all of the damage taken while payback was active over a certain amount of seconds, and also inflicting a bleed debuff on the opponent, dealing a certain percentage of all damage taken while payback was active. So yeah, this one seems like really, really nice there. I imagine for characters that have like Punisher, 2099 for example, you block, you take a load of special damage. Maybe this is a really good card for certain niche scenarios, and yeah, it might be some really good utility, but I'm interested to see how that one does function there. And then we've got Sumo Pool, which is card number 10. So while either champion has a Fury effect, Platinumpool becomes unstoppable against the last hit of incoming Special 1, Special 2, and heavy attacks. Additionally, damage received from the hit cannot exceed a certain percentage of the opponent's attack, and when Platinumpool is in either corner, gain a Fury buff increasing attack rating by a certain amount until Platinumpool leaves the corner. So I'm not really too sure that's going to be like super useful on offense. It's kind of like Dr. Doom's aura ability or the secondary effect of it. But yeah, maybe if you're like beating it on the opponent against the corner and you get the Fury, this is going to be useful on offense. But we'll have to see about that one, man. It might be clutch for some comebacks though, the initial description, and going unstoppable against like heavy attacks and Special 1, Special 2 if you do mess up there. Then we got card number 11, Special Surprise. So when activating a special attack, he gains 1 buff for each bar of power filled by the opponent, lasting a certain amount of seconds, and these buffs include Fury, Precision, Cruelty, Prowess, Unblockable, Indestructible, and Unstoppable. So yeah, that seems really, really good in the right scenario as well, especially if you get a little bit lucky, like with Furies, Prowess, Precision, Cruelty, really ramp up that damage. Maybe the Indestructible as well can be very clutch in the right scenario. So yeah, I'm curious to see how that one does work. And then finally, we've got Mode Mixer, which is rotate through light, medium, heavy, and special modes. Attacks associated with each mode gain additional attack rating, and all other attacks have minus attack rating. So hopefully it's like a massive boost to the attacks that are actually listed there. So yeah, that one kind of like forces you to switch up your playstyle, but if the attack bonus is like really, really good, might be quite nice, man. Might be quite nice. And then also we have what is it? Heavy Prowess. So when landing the first hit, I assume with your heavy attack there, you gain a Prowess buff, increasing special attack damage. So I assume the plan with the heavies is to like heavy straight into a special attack for like, you know, massive damage there. He also has a chance to draw a card when he is knocked down, so more bonus effects there. And then we have the special attacks, which again, I assume like visually are exactly the same as all of the other Deadpools in the game. He's got Ace in the Hole, a Fancy, it's a Punch to the Groin, Who We Trying to Fool, which inflicts a bleed debuff. So there's no stun on this one, it's a bleed debuff which scales with special attack damage. And that kind of seems to be the theme of this Deadpool, is he's maybe a bit more damage focused with the bleeds, because we have his special 2 as well, which if he completes his dance, he draws and reveals 1 card. However, the chance to draw a brown pants card is increased each time he draws a card this way. And while he's defending, brown pants cards cannot be drawn. This is why he never risks it. He does not want to end up with a brown pants. But yeah, when going for this dance, there is a chance you can draw the brown pants. And then that way you're going to have like minus crit reduction, minus block proficiency, and minus power game rate as well. So I'm not too sure if it's worth it. It's a little bit of a gamble on the special too, I would imagine. But also once per fight, if Platinumpool is interrupted before completing his dance during his special attack 2, he does gain a regeneration buff as well. However, if the opponent is currently bleeding, Platinumpool inflicts a stun lasting a certain amount of seconds. It's cruel but very effective. So I assume if you have bleeds via other sources and then go for the special 2, like the stun might be quite a nice way to get in combo after. I assume it's going to be very similar to the stun off Goldpool's special 2, but I think that one's only once per fight as well. So yeah, I'm curious to see how you know, effective that's going to be. But it seems like you just interrupt the special 2 and just, you know, nuke in, get those bleeds off the special 1. But there seem to be some good ways to kind of pause the bleeds and get even more out of them, which we'll talk about in a second. And then finally we've got special 3, which inflicts a bleed debuff, dealing a certain amount of damage over a certain amount of seconds, and it scales to special attack damage. The special 3 also discards all active cards, so if you've got some rubbish ones, then this might be a good way to get rid of those cards and draw some, you know, different ones. But it also refreshes the duration of all bleed debuffs on the opponent. So yeah, that seems pretty damn nice there. And then we do have the awakened ability on top of that as well. So it unlocks a very low chance to draw the legendary boost card. So that's card 13, which is all stats boosted, baby. So I don't know what the booster is on that one, man, but you know, we're gonna have to see. I imagine if it's a legendary card, it's gonna be a pretty big booster there. But it also increases the potency of all common card effects by a certain percentage. That is just on the base all of the time, I would assume. And personal bleed effects gain up to a 200% additional potency. That seems really, really strong. And this ability scales with each card drawn during the fight up to a maximum of 6 cards. So if you've got what is it, 6 cards, 6 effects active, then you gain the full 200% there. So this, especially with all the other multipliers, makes me quite excited about some of the damage potential of this Deadpool. Like, I think he could hit really, really hard, have some nice regeneration. There's a few little things he can do as well. So yeah, I have a little bit of hope when it does come to this Deadpool, but also if you're looking for maybe like a specific card in a specific scenario, there are synergies at all sorts of mostly high tier champions. We've got Aegon, Doctor Doom, Joe Fixit, of course, Magic, Rogue, Scarlet Witch, that increase the chance that you pull what is it, certain rare and epic cards. So yeah, that seems really, really nice as well. But there's also a Wall Breakers synergy, which I assume is probably with Goldpool or OG Deadpool there, which increases the potency of all common card effects. But all of his synergies, they are very selfish solo synergies and do not benefit the other character. But the fact that this champion has so many synergies as well, I think pretty much guarantees that he is going to be like a playable trophy character. Because if they do add bosses in like Maestro, Grandmaster, the Collector, like those champions, the unplayable champions, never have any synergies. Whereas this champion, you know, seems to have a pretty well thought out way to play him. Also seems kind of fully made in terms of the game files and also has synergies. So yeah, I'm fairly convinced that this champion is going to be a somewhat exclusive trophy champion coming fairly soon. But yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm looking forward to seeing this Deadpool. He does seem like a little bit quirky, a little bit different. But obviously, he's not like... I've just always wanted that kind of like beyond God tier, just ridiculously overpowered, like movie version of Deadpool in the game. Like, I think that would be so, so cool. And Platinumpool, he isn't that character. He's kind of like a different version of Goldpool, but he does look like a lot more exciting, and then there's a lot more to this character than some of the previous iterations of Deadpool. So yeah, overall, I'm excited for Platinumpool. I think he's going to be a bit of a whaley boy champion, man, and I'm not really too sure exactly how they're going to introduce this character. I assume that it's going to be very similar to Goldpool. They're going to have some sort of gold crystal, or just crystal with a really, really low drop rate. But yeah, we're going to have to wait and see on that one. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you enjoyed today's Platinumpool early data mine abilities breakdown. And if you did enjoy this video, please do smash that like button. That'd be greatly appreciated. But aside from that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.